Right. Hello everyone. My name is Thomas, and first of all I want to say I'm not a representative of Amazon.com, so I'm not a salesman or whatever. I'm just a regular user, just as you. And last year I was in San Francisco on one of the Drupal cons, and I was introduced over there with Amazon Web Services. And since that moment, I've jumped on it, and I want to share my experiences with it. So first, the question: who knows or who has heard from Amazon Web Services, and who use it already? All right. So I want to talk about Amazon, but then within a case study. The case study is from wikifonia.org. It's a website I started with a couple of friends. And it's all about music notation. So similar to Wikipedia, it aims to become a repository encyclopedia of sheet music. What people can do on Wikifonia is they can upload or publish a music XML file. A music XML file is the standard right now for music notations like MP3 for audio. And what happens is in the backend, Wikifonia is converting that XML file to PDF, to a set of Flash files, which you can see over here. So that's the Flash player. And then some other stuff is being done. So as you can hear, it's quite a heavy workflow. And I put it on here again. So this job does around at least a couple of seconds for one page. It starts at 8 seconds, and then for each additional page is like 1 or 2 seconds extra. And you should know that for each song we have to render around 16 PDF files in different formats and so on. So it takes a lot of time. And at the beginning, when we launched it on one server. And we've chosen Drupal to do so as a framework. Because we needed some revision control, because obviously it's the wiki, so people have to see what has changed and so on. And then also the community features. But one of the main issues, besides using Drupal, was how are we going to set up a storage and set up the whole workflow system. And at the beginning, so let's say 2 years ago, there was some kind of extra modules for Drupal, which was called file storage, and another one, file system or something like that. And it was aimed to maintain a lot of files on the same web server. So I looked into that module, but luckily, just after that, Amazon came out. And what Amazon did, in fact, because it's Amazon, as you know, the bookstore. But what they did was they opened up their infrastructure to everyone, to web developers in fact, and they do it with web services. So if you have an application on your website and you want to use, for instance, unlimited storage, then you can send via web services your files to Amazon, and they are going to store it. They're going to store it in a safe way, unlimited, so you don't have to worry about scalability and availability. So that's the reason why Amazon Web Services is really, for us, but I guess for other people as well, is really a savior, a time saver, because it takes a lot of efforts away from the developer. So the services I'm going to talk about is S3. That's a simple service, simple storage service. Then SQS, it's a queuing system. And then EC2, it's computing cloud. It's to start up just several instances of application servers who can do a job for you. There are a lot more services, and you can see them all on the Amazon website. Check them out, play with it. It's very easy to make just a login. The only thing you need to do in order to start testing these services is fill in your Visa card, because does require a little amount of money, but I'll come back to that later. But anyway, I mean, it's quite nice. And I'll show you a demo as well, so you can start playing afterwards with the Amazon Web Services. What we needed for Wikifonia was, at the beginning, just something where we could store the music XML files as well as the rendered output. And first, Amazon came out with S3, so the unlimited storage. What we did was we connected Drupal with S3, simple way, store the XML files, but also the PDFs which were rendered locally on the web server, store them as well on S3. That was already one good thing. The main problem was our application was still at our web server. And if there were a lot of jobs on there, then the web server would just go down because all the jobs were just initiated. And a job like we have to render the sheet music can take up 100% of the processor. So whenever someone else is going to the server, he won't get any response back. And it was a bit bad, but never mind. I mean, we don't have that many users yet. So the second step we took was when Amazon came out with the queue service. We used that one in order to speak, or to let Drupal speak together with an application server. So what really happens is a client uploads a music XML file. Drupal is storing that music XML file on S3, but in the meantime it's also making just a job, and it's described in XML. It's putting that job on the SQS. And then this application server is just pulling SQS for whether there are new jobs or not. If so, it takes a job, it sees what kind of XML it has to take, it starts rendering it to PDF files, Flash files and others, and then storing it back. And when the server is finished, it does a call via XML RPC towards Drupal, and he says, I'm done, you can collect the files from S3 if you want, so the client can actually see them. This one here, this loop, so at the moment that the client is setting up music XML, he stays in the loop, just an AJAX call, and whenever Drupal is getting the XML RPC call back, the AJAX recognizes that there is a new record in the database and sends the feedback back to the user together with the file, so the user can actually preview the sheet music. There was already another step, but not that good yet, because this queue, we only use one queue for the moment. Whenever you put something on there, so a job, the jobs are being harvested just like in a serial way. So the solution to that is to launch a new server, another one somewhere, which pulls the queue as well, so that there is no job or several jobs at the same time in the queue. So the question was, how are we going to do that? And again, Amazon came there with the beta release of their Elastic Cloud. And an Elastic Cloud is just a service where you can start up an instance of a server which holds all your applications, and within 30 seconds the server is booted and ready to take your jobs and to just serve you the output. Setting up those images wasn't quite easy. I'll come back to that later. But right now we are in the process of setting up this system. It's not running yet, but it makes it possible that our system is capable of taking up hundreds of jobs at the same time. And it will be necessary so, because at this moment Wikifonia is still in an alpha version, but as soon as we start promoting our service, in fact, then we think that a lot of jobs will come in. So we have to be prepared, otherwise it would kill our service. So, about pricing. It's quite easy, in fact. Pricing is just you pay what you consume. And in terms of storage, it's per gigabyte storage or bandwidth. In terms of SQS, it's for 1,000 messages, and in terms of EC2, so the cloud, it's per hour you pay. These figures are not precisely correct, but they just demonstrate what the prices are. They are on the website, so if you want to check it out, go over there and then you see the precise figures. Also, it might change, so I've stated here updated. Because very recently, Amazon changed their SQS service, and then, of course, as a developer, you have to be aware, because your pricing will also change. And that's something what Amazon is capable to do is just change the way they price. So you don't have a contract, there's no SLE, service level agreement. You just have to take it as they offer it to you. So at this moment, Amazon is almost the only one who offers all these kind of services. So you just have to handle it and to deal with it. It's not really nice towards customers, but they reckon we are the first one to do it. So give us some time to think over our pricing system so they can change it. So that's something you have to be aware of. So for the moment, there is in fact only one Drupal module available. It's being released the 10th of January 2008, so it's pretty fresh and still in beta. But what it offers already is a API for S3, SQS, EC2, and others such as DB Simple and so on will come afterwards. So if you're a developer and you're developing something which has to do with media and conversions and whatever, just check out this module because it will help you a lot as it helped us. Second, what you should do, and I'll give you a demo on these pieces later, so after this slide, is to use some simple tools. In this case, they are both extensions of Firefox. Other than that, there are a lot of libraries available in all kind of languages like Java, Ruby, PHP, and so on, which you can use at your local site in order to maintain or monitor all the different services. And then there's also a good knowledge base on Amazon website itself, but also Drupal has a group which is dedicated to Amazon Web Services, and it's not quite being used yet, but as I'm speaking right now about Amazon, I hope that a lot of people will start playing with it and share their experiences. So let's have a demo right now, and I'll first show you the basics. This is the Amazon homepage, I mean the web services homepage, as you can see here. At the left, over here, you have all the different services they have. So, I don't know, there are some in there which I didn't check out yet, but you can see over here Elastic Cloud, Mechanical Turk is a nice one as well, and here S3 and SQS. What you should do is you have to make yourself an account and then apply for each one of them separately. Applying doesn't cost any money. The only thing you need to do is when you make an account, you have to fill in your Visa cards, and as soon as you start consuming something, you just pay the monthly bill, in fact. This is my account. I'm not going to give much insight, but it just shows how you're subscribed on the different services. Voilà. So you can see them over here, and as you can see, it's really about micropayments. So for instance, for the simple storage, for this month I paid $1/3. So it's enormous, and I use a couple of gigabytes, I think. So that's really nice. Now, in order to, for instance, let's start with the S3. In order to maintain your S3 storage, so all the files in there is a tool, and the tool is called S3 Fox, extension for Firefox. And what you have over here is some kind of an FTP environment. So left you have the local file system, on the right there is the Amazon file system. And what you notice over here are, and we call them, or Amazon calls them, buckets. You can give a specific name to your bucket. We choose to give it some kind of a an URL name. And why is that interesting? Because if you have, if you are able to control your DNS settings, or in fact to make new records, and you make a record, let's say static.wikifonia.org, and you make that one as a CNAME for the S3 service, and which is called s3.amazonaws.com. If you make that kind of a record, then as soon as someone is browsing to static.wikifonia.org, he's in fact browsing on the storage service. So if you don't do that, then you get something like S3 Amazon.aws.com in the file or in the URL, and that's not quite nice. So for instance, to go in there, you will notice that there are some files in here. These have to do with just the files we store on Amazon, and you can download them. You can edit the permissions, so you can say that, for instance, the outer world cannot download your files, but only, let's say, a few people you invited to. You can delete it, of course. But what is interesting is this is called the bucket, and then you have over here the key. If you store something on Amazon, it's stored with those two parameters. So one thing is the bucket. You tell Amazon there's that bucket you have to use to store the file, and then the key is like a unique identifier to identify that key. So you can only use one key per file, in fact, one unique key, which is normal, in fact. One thing you can do as well is you can copy the URL to clipboard, and if I do that, and if I put it on here, you will notice that this is the kind of URL that Amazon is making. But in fact, since I've told you that trick over there, this thing will work as well, because it's a CNAME and alias for that other specific name. So, in order to move something to S3, it's quite easy. You just copy it over with this tool, or you can just make some module around it, which is the same thing, in fact. Second is the Elastic Cloud. The Elastic Cloud you can control via another extension, which is called EC2 Firefox UI, something like that. First thing you have to do is you have to put in your credentials. Second thing is you have to make yourself an account ID. And then what happens is, once you're logged in, you will see over here a load of, we call it Amazon images. And besides the public ones, so you have here public images you are able to use. You have private ones as well, and private ones are the ones you make yourself. So if you have a specific need of applications, then you can make yourself an image, and then as soon as you need that server to be launched, you can just launch it very easily by clicking on here and then launch an instance. You can choose the amount of instances you need. You can, for instance, launch 10 of them, and then just have to add a key pair. It's very important, this one. It took me quite some time before I figured out what it was used for. This key pair is in fact some kind of a public-private key, which you can use afterwards to log in into your server with PuTTY, for instance. I'm not going to do that right now, but what I can do is, for instance, demonstrate the launch of a server which has Drupal, in fact. So all those public EMIs are all different in the sense of they have an operating system, they have some kind of a web server on there. They can also be Java, JBoss, and so on and so on. You can look those, you can find those images online on here, so on the developer's website. In here you can search for all the different images and look whether if you need, for instance, is it here Gen 2 or something else, something really specific, you can launch that one, log into it, and play with it. So let me look for the image which has Drupal. it's this one here, and it's still an old one, I think, because well, it's a 5.6. It's not that old. Launching it is very easy. Just give your key pair, and then you launch it. It's added on here, so right now it's pending. It's pending. It takes normally around 15 to 30 seconds to start up that computer. So if I just refresh right now, well, it will show up. Anyway, I have another one running here right now, and I just started it during the previous presentation. Once it started, then you just get the public DNS name, and public DNS is also mentioned in here. And what you can do then is just browse to it. And since it is a fresh server with a fresh Drupal installation, you can, as you can see, it's a new one. You have to configure it, and then you can start playing with it. So that means if you have some clients, and those clients want to play with the Drupal installation together with some modules, then you simply start an instance. You download some modules, for instance. You set it up, and you can demonstrate your stuff. Right now, this one is running as well. The same thing again. Public the DNS name, copy the DNS name, then put it in here, and might take a minute. Well, I mean, it has to boot up, of course, so it might require a few seconds more. But let's see. Normally, that it starts up in 1-2 minutes, something like that. The last one, service I use, the SQS, doesn't have any monitoring tool, at least not for Firefox. It does have just some libraries in PHP. I guess when the module for Drupal is a bit more stable, then we will be able to monitor the SQS or the queues via Drupal instead of something else you have to find or whatever. So up until today, I don't think there is a plugin for Firefox available for SQS. Anyway, this is the demonstration. So I don't know whether someone has some questions about it. All I can say is that it really helped us because it's really cheap, and otherwise we had to figure out how to start up several servers and then with a queue system or something else. So it helped us a lot. Yeah.
So you get the CNAME records accessible to Amazon.
Yeah, the Amazon URL. Yeah.
Okay. How do they know? Do they get a request for setting up the key email? Which buckets do they have to?
Well, they know it probably via the header of the request. I mean, it says what you're requesting, in fact.
Okay, but how do you then know that? I mean, some other person can have buckets that look as well.
No, the bucket name is unique. Okay, so right. once someone selected the bucket name, then you can't take it over.
Okay.
So it's unique for everyone. So if you want to take a bucket like Drupal.org, probably that's not possible because it might have been taken already. And if it is, I think they can take it away from you if someone else claims, yeah, but I want to use this one. I don't know, actually. It's probably stated somewhere in the document.
Yeah, a similar question for EC2. So you have that URL now, but you serve can drill down. So then, if you work with your own DNS records, you have to update your DNS records programmatically then.
Well, in case of EC2, we are not using any DNS aliases. And why is that? Because there is no reason for consumers to directly go to our application servers. So we just keep on tracking the DNS name and all whether the server is still live. Because that's something I have to mention, that Amazon can kill your instance at any time, at any moment. So you have to be aware this instance is not persistent. So if you run a Drupal installation on it with a database, with some data you want to store and you want to save, then you have to be aware this instance can be killed at any time. So it's something which should use just for testing stuff instead of just running a website on it. So it's something you really have to keep in mind. Yeah.
Do you find that you get killed, or is that just?
I've never been killed before. So I don't know, but it can happen. So another thing, S3 for instance, was it this week or last week? The S3 service has been out for a couple of hours, and it deflected also Twitter and a lot of other big websites. So since you don't have an SLA or a contract with Amazon, they just say, okay, I'm sorry, I'll be sorry, but you have to live with it. We can't go out at any time, so it's something which is not really reliable yet, but enough to play with. Yeah.
Given that you're quite aware of how fragile the service is, that it's the only one on the market, and that the pricing can change at any point of time, what is your plan B? As in, once you depend on it, once you process hundreds of instances on which eat your jobs, what do you do if they go away?
Good question. I don't have plan B yet. There are probably a few others out there. I tested 2 days ago another one and I forgot the names. It's stupid. But they work together with Rackspace, one of the biggest delegate server hosters. So it's some competitors are coming out right now, so that might be our plan B, to go to a more reliable one. I don't know, unless they start up with Nasally. I don't know yet. Someone else? Yeah.
So I didn't understand. You are not hosting Drupal in Amazon. Okay, your application is not in Amazon. You are hosting Drupal somewhere else.
Yes, sure. I mean, our Drupal installation is on a dedicated web server and not hosted at Amazon. So
you can host Drupal with Amazon services.
Sure you can, but as I said, it's not really reliable. Okay, I never heard before that someone's instance has been killed, but it can happen. I mean, so you have to be aware of that. Anyway, you can try it out. If it's just for testing or for developing something or for showing off something to the clients, you can use specifically that instance that I've just started. So just go to Amazon again, look for that specific instance, launch it, and just go around. So that's the only thing I can tell you right now. Other than that, so. Voilà, then it's over, I guess.